The Velari homeworld burned behind them. Commander Celis stood in the command chamber of the flagship, her translucent body rippling with stress patterns that any of her kind could read as pure terror. Through the viewing ports, she could see 46 other ships following her lead, each one packed with refugees. These vessels were never meant to carry so many. They were cargo ships, science vessels, even old passenger transports pulled from museums. Anything that could fly and hold people. 200,000 Velari. That was all that remained of a civilization that once numbered in the billions. "Commander, the Korthax fleet is closing," her second officer reported. His skin flickered with orange distress patterns. "They will be in firing range in less than one cycle." Celis touched the navigation console, her webbed fingers dancing across the controls. Every direction showed the same thing. Korthax ships, hundreds of them. The Empire wanted to make sure no Velari escaped. They had been very clear about their intentions. Complete extinction. The Velari worlds would be resettled by Korthax colonists, and the Velari would be remembered only as a footnote in galactic history. "Our FTL drives cannot sustain another jump," the engineering officer said quietly. "We pushed them too hard already. Half the fleet is running on backup systems." "Then we find somewhere to hide," Celis said. She expanded the star chart, looking for any system, any nebula, any place where they might disappear long enough to repair their ships. There was nothing. The Korthax had chased them into an empty region of space. No colonies, no trading posts, no allies who might offer shelter. The Galactic Council had already made its position clear through silence. No one would help the Velari. No one wanted to anger the Korthax Empire. "Wait," the navigation officer said. He pointed at the chart with a trembling digit. "There is one place." The area he indicated was marked in deep crimson on every galactic map. Celis had never paid attention to it before. Why would she? No one went there. "The void reaches?" her second officer said, his skin flashing with alarm patterns. "Commander, you cannot be serious." Celis pulled up the database entry. The information was surprisingly sparse. The region was designated as Quarantine Zone Alpha 7. The Galactic Council had flagged it with the highest level warning. Ships that entered the zone never returned. The few automated probes that had been sent in had transmitted strange readings before going silent. Gravity fluctuations, unexplained energy signatures. One probe's last message was simply, "Something is watching." "What is in there?" Celis asked. "What makes it so dangerous?" "No one knows," the navigation officer admitted. "The quarantine has been in place for over 300 cycles. Some of the older records call it the death spiral. There are stories about ancient weapons left behind by a dead civilization. Others say the physics of space itself is broken in that region. A few records mention something alive in there, something that destroys any ship that enters." "Stories," Celis said flatly. "We have the Korthax fleet behind us. That is not a story. That is real. And they will kill every single one of us. At least with the Korthax, we know how we die," her second officer said. Celis turned to face him directly, a gesture of challenge among her people. "I did not lead our people this far to give up. Yes, the void reaches are dangerous. Yes, we might die. But might is better than certainly." She looked around the command chamber at her crew. They were all young. The elders had stayed behind, sacrificing themselves to buy time for the evacuation. These young ones deserved a chance, even if it was a small one. "Send the order to the fleet," Celis commanded. "We go into the void reaches. Maximum speed. Tell everyone to shut down all non-essential systems and divert power to engines and shields. If there are dangers in there, we will face them. But we will not die without trying to live." The fleet turned as one, angling toward the Crimson Zone. The Korthax ships noticed immediately. Celis could see them accelerating, trying to close the distance before the Velari crossed the boundary. "They are hailing us," the communications officer said. "Put it through." The image that appeared was of a Korthax war master, his scaled face twisted in what might have been amusement. The Korthax were reptilian predators, much larger than the Velari, and their empire had conquered dozens of systems through pure military might. "Commander Celis," the war master said, "I admire your determination, but you must see that this flight is pointless. Surrender now, and I promise your deaths will be quick." "We choose to take our chances," Celis replied. The War Master's expression changed to something darker. "You would rather face the void reaches than accept mercy? You are fools. Nothing that enters that zone survives. You have heard the stories, yes? Of ships torn apart by unknown forces, of crews that simply vanish. You lead your people not to safety but to horror. Perhaps, Celis said, but it will be a horror of our own choosing. She cut the transmission. The fleet crossed the boundary marker 2 cycles later. The moment they did, every alarm on every ship began screaming. Sensors went wild, showing readings that made no sense. Space itself seemed to shimmer and twist around them. What is happening? Celis demanded. I do not know, the sensor officer said, her skin bright with panic patterns. The instruments are showing impossible things. Gravity wells where there should be none. Energy signatures that match no known technology. Commander, there are objects out there. Thousands of them. Ships? I cannot tell. The sensors keep fluctuating. Celis looked at the viewports. To her naked eye, space looked almost normal. Strange nebulae and colors she had never seen before. Stars that seemed to pulse with irregular rhythms. But nothing immediately lethal. The Korthax fleet has stopped, the communications officer reported. They are holding position at the boundary. They refuse to follow us. A final transmission came through from the War Master. His face was grim. You have chosen obliteration over mercy. So be it, your deaths are on your own heads. May your ancestors forgive you for leading your people into darkness. Then the Korthax fleet turned and left. Celis felt a wave of relief, quickly followed by renewed fear. The Korthax were ruthless, but they were not cowards. If they refused to enter this zone, if they preferred to let their prey escape rather than follow, then what did that say about what waited ahead? Commander, we are receiving automated signals, the communications officer said. Old ones. Most are in languages the database does not recognize, but there is one repeating in standard galactic trade speak. What does it say? The officer's skin went pale. It says turn back. This space is forbidden. Turn back or face processing. Processing? Celis's second officer asked. What does that mean? No one had an answer. The fleet drifted deeper into the void reaches, their damaged engines pushing them forward on momentum more than power. Around them, space remained strange but not deadly. The Velari began to hope. Perhaps the stories were exaggerated. Perhaps they had found a sanctuary after all, hidden in the one place no one dared to look. Commander Celis stood at her post and watched the stars, wondering what they had truly stumbled into. Behind them, their world was ashes. Ahead, unknown terrors waited, but they were alive. For now, that was enough. 3 cycles passed in the void reaches, and the Vehlari fleet still lived. Commander Celis found this fact more disturbing than comforting. The stories said nothing survived here, yet here they were, drifting through strange space, and nothing had attacked them. No ancient weapons had fired. No spatial anomalies had torn their ships apart. The silence was worse than any threat. Sensors are stabilizing, the sensor officer reported during the 3rd cycle. I am getting clearer readings now. Commander, you need to see this. Celis moved to the sensor station and studied the data. Her skin rippled with confusion patterns. These readings cannot be correct. I have checked them 17 times, the officer said quietly. They are correct. The sensors showed thousands of objects scattered throughout the region. Ships, derelict vessels from dozens of different species, some of them centuries old according to their design. They drifted in loose formations around dead planets and dying stars, creating vast graveyards in the darkness. A Cythrine merchant vessel, the officer pointed at one cluster. That design has not been used in over 200 cycles. Here, a Felari warship from the Council's 3rd expansion, and this one I cannot even identify. The database has no record of that species. Where are the crews? Celis asked, unknown. Some ships show hull breaches. Others appear intact. It is as if they were simply abandoned. But there was something else in the data that caught Celis's attention. The ships were not randomly scattered. They were arranged, organized into specific groupings by species and age. Someone had collected them. Someone had placed them in these positions deliberately. Commander, another officer called out. I am detecting active energy signatures. Not from the derelicts, from structures. Show me. The display changed to show massive stations orbiting several worlds. They were clearly artificial, built with technology that seemed far in advance of anything the Galactic Council possessed. The stations bristled with what could only be weapons, and they were all active, all powered up. There are also beacons, the communications officer added, hundreds of them transmitting on multiple frequencies. Most are in languages we do not understand, but some are in old galactic standard. They all say the same thing, which is quarantine enforced. Turn back or be processed. Violators will be detained. Celis felt ice in her core. Someone lives here. Someone built all of this. The void reaches are not empty. Commander, we have incoming ships, the tactical officer suddenly announced. Small craft moving fast. They appeared from nowhere. Our sensors did not detect them until they were already in close range. Battle stations, Celis ordered, though she knew it was pointless. Their weapons were minimal. They were refugee ships, not warships. Through the viewports, she could see them now. Sleek vessels, much smaller than the Valari ships but moving with impossible precision. They had a predatory look to them, built for speed and violence. Within moments, they had surrounded the entire Valari fleet, cutting off any escape route. They are locking weapons on us, the tactical officer said, his skin bright with fear patterns. A communication signal came through, strong and clear. The voice spoke in accented but understandable Valari. Unidentified fleet, you have violated quarantine protocols. Cut your engines immediately. Power down weapon systems. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your immediate destruction. This is your only warning. Celis made the decision quickly. Do as they say. Shut down engines. Make sure all ships comply. Commander, we cannot surrender. Her second officer protested. We cannot fight either, Celis replied. Look at those ships. Look at how they move. Whatever species controls them, they are far more advanced than we are, and they have been waiting here in this zone for who knows how long. The entire galaxy fears this place. Now we know why. The Valari fleet went dark, engines cutting to minimal power. The unknown ships moved closer, taking up positions alongside each vessel. Celis watched as small boarding craft detached and approached her flagship. Open the airlock, she commanded. Let them come. The crew gathered in the main corridor, waiting. Celis positioned herself at the front, trying to project calm even though her skin could not help but show stress patterns. The airlock cycled. The door opened. The beings that entered were unlike anything Celis had ever seen. They walked on two legs with bilateral symmetry similar to several galactic species. They wore advanced armor that covered most of their bodies, and they carried weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. But when the leader removed its helmet, Celis felt her entire body go rigid with instinctive fear. The face that looked at her had two forward-facing eyes, predator eyes, the kind that tracked movement and judged distance for striking prey. The being had flat features with a prominent nose, and when it opened its mouth to speak, Celis could see both flat teeth and sharp ones. An omnivore, something that could eat plants but chose to hunt meat. Every instinct in her body screamed danger. I am Captain Maria Ochoa, the being said, speaking through a translation device. You will not be harmed if you cooperate. We are conducting inspections of all vessels. We need to verify you carry no prohibited weapons or technology. What are you? Celis managed to ask. Human, Ochoa replied simply. This is human space. You are in violation of our borders. More humans spread through the ship, moving with professional efficiency. They scanned equipment, checked cargo holds, and examined the ship's systems. But they were not hostile. When they found Valari who were injured, they offered medical supplies. When they saw how overcrowded the ships were, they brought extra rations. Ochoa stood with Celis in the command chamber, studying a data pad. You are refugees, she said. It was not a question. Yes, we fled the Korthax, we know. We have been watching them. Ochoa looked up, her predator eyes meeting Celis's. We watch everyone who gets too close to our border. You have been watching. For how long? Always. Celis felt her mind struggling to understand. The quarantine, the warnings, the stories about this zone being deadly, it was all to hide you, to hide your species. We prefer it that way, Ochoa said. Her expression was unreadable. Commander Celis, you need to understand something. You entered human space without permission. The entire region your people call the Void Reaches belongs to us. It has for 300 of your standard cycles. But the Galactic Council, Celis began. The Council does not acknowledge our existence, Ochoa interrupted. That is by design. Our design? She pulled up a star chart on the main display, showing the vast region of the Void Reaches, 47 star systems, 32 inhabited worlds, over 200 billion humans and other species living under our protection. All of it hidden behind a wall of fear and false stories. Celis could not process what she was hearing. An entire civilization hidden in plain sight. Why? Why hide? Why not join the council? Ochoa's expression hardened. Because the council tried to kill us. All of us, every human. When we first reached the stars and met them, they declared us too dangerous to exist. They sent fleets to exterminate us. What happened? We won, Ochoa said simply. And then we made sure they would never try again. She walked to the viewport, looking out at the strange stars of the void reaches. You have stumbled into something bigger than you know, Commander. Your people will be taken to a processing station. We will decide what to do with you there. Do not be afraid. We do not hurt refugees, but you cannot leave. Not anymore. Not once you know the truth. The station orbited a blue-green planet that hurt to look at. Commander Celis pressed against the viewport of the transport ship, staring at the world below. It was beautiful in a terrifying way. Massive clouds swirled across its surface in patterns that suggested storms of incredible violence. The oceans were so vast they made her homeworld seas look like puddles. And through gaps in the clouds she could see green. So much green. Life everywhere growing wild and untamed. That is Earth, Captain Ochoa said, standing beside her. Our homeworld. It looks deadly, Celis said honestly. Ochoa smiled, showing her flat and sharp teeth. It is. Gravity 1.3 times standard. Weather systems that can tear buildings apart. Earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, tsunamis. We have predators that can kill with a single bite and prey animals that will trample you if frightened. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world by Council standards. How do you survive? We evolved there, Ochoa said simply. To us, it is home. The transport docked at the orbital station, and the Velari were escorted inside. Celis expected prison cells or containment areas. Instead, they found themselves in what looked like a diplomatic processing center. Clean rooms with comfortable furniture, medical facilities staffed by humans and other species, even food synthesizers programmed with Velari nutritional requirements. You are treating us well, Celis observed to Ochoa. You are refugees, not enemies, Ochoa replied. There is a difference. Over the next cycle, the Velari were interviewed in small groups. Celis was called to a conference room, where she found herself facing 3 humans. Captain Ochoa was there, along with a gray-haired human male in a military uniform covered with symbols Celis did not recognize, and a human female with darker skin who wore civilian clothes. Commander Celis, the male said in perfect Velari, I am Admiral James Chen of the United Earth Defense Fleet. This is Dr. Amara Okafor, our Chief of Refugee Affairs. We need to discuss your situation. Celis sat in the chair they provided, which had been modified for her body structure. What will happen to my people? That depends, Chen said. First, we need to tell you the truth, all of it. You deserve to know what you have entered into. He activated a holographic display. Images appeared, showing Earth as it had been 300 cycles ago. Primitive spacecraft, early colony ships heading to Mars and the outer planets. We reached the stars slowly, Chen explained. No faster than light travel at first, just generation ships and cold sleep. It took us 50 years to reach our nearest neighbor star, but we made it. We built colonies. We kept pushing outward. The images changed, showing human ships meeting vessels of other species. First contact with the Galactic Council happened 132 years into our expansion. We were excited. We thought we had found friends, allies, trading partners. We were wrong. The next images made Celis's skin go pale. They showed Council ships surrounding human colonies. Weapons firing. Colonies burning. The Council has a system, Chen continued, his voice hard. They rank species by biological and cultural factors. Prey species are considered valuable. Herbivores, herd animals, anything peaceful and easy to control. Predator species are considered dangerous, and species from death worlds like Earth are considered hazardous. They tried to exterminate you, Celis said quietly. Not just tried. They declared it official policy. Humanity was classified as a Class 5 hazard. Too aggressive, too violent, too dangerous to exist in civilized space. They sent the enforcement fleet to Earth with orders to orbital bomb the planet. 40 billion humans lived on Earth at that time. Ochoa picked up the story. They did not know we had been preparing for this. Humans have been fighting each other since before we had written language. We know war. We understand violence in ways the Council species never had to. When their fleet arrived, Earth's defense grid was waiting. The holographic display showed a battle. Human ships, Crude compared to Council vessels, but numerous and aggressive. The fighting was brutal. The humans lost ships, but they won. We destroyed their enforcement fleet, Chen said. Then we captured their technology and reverse engineered it. Within 1 year, we had FTL drives. Within 2 years, we had energy shields and plasma weapons. The Council thought they were facing primitives. They were wrong. The images showed human fleets moving outward, striking at Council worlds. Not destroying them, Celis noted, but attacking military installations and freeing populations. The war lasted 5 years, Chen continued. We captured 47 Council systems. We freed billions of enslaved species. We brought the Council military to its knees, and then we stopped. Why? Celis asked. If you had won, why not take control? Dr. Okafor spoke for the first time. Because we did not want an empire. We never did. We just wanted to be left alone. We wanted the Council to stop trying to kill us and to stop enslaving others. Chen leaned forward. So we made a deal. Not officially. The Council would never admit to negotiating with us. But we made our terms clear. We would take this region of space and fortify it. We would stop our advance. In exchange, they would leave us alone and declare this entire zone quarantined and forbidden. You created the void reaches, Celis said, understanding dawning. You made the galaxy afraid of this space. We spread stories, Ochoa admitted. We made sure scout ships disappeared. We left just enough mystery to keep people away. For 300 years it has worked. The galaxy thinks this zone is haunted or cursed or filled with ancient weapons. They do not know it is just us, but why? Celis asked. Why hide? Why not take your place in the galaxy? Because the Council has not changed, Chen said grimly. They still enslave species. They still enforce their caste system. They still exterminate anyone they consider dangerous. We stop it when it reaches our borders, but we cannot save everyone. You could, Celis said. You have the power. Power does not mean right, Dr. Okafor replied. If we became the Galactic Police, we would be no better than the Council. We would be an empire imposing our will on others. We chose isolation over imperialism. The holographic display changed again, showing dozens of species. Some Celis recognized, others were completely unknown to her. These are the species living in human space, Chen explained. The Sithrine, rescued from Council mining operations. The Folari, whose homeworld was being terraformed against their will. The Vexari, who were declared obsolete and scheduled for extermination. 43 species total, 200 billion beings, all officially extinct according to Council records. Celis stared at the images. You have been building a sanctuary. We have been giving people a choice, Okafor corrected. Stay in the galaxy and face the Council's system, or come here and be free. Most choose freedom. But there is a cost, Chen added. Once you enter human space, you cannot leave. If word got out that humans exist, that we are powerful enough to challenge the Council, everything would fall apart. There would be war, real war. Millions would die. Ochoa pulled up another image. It showed Korthax ships massing at the border of human space. The Korthax followed your trail. They are demanding we hand you over. They claim you are criminals who stole Korthax property. We stole nothing, Celis said angrily. They destroyed our world. We know, Chen said. We watched it happen. We watched them bomb your cities and burn your forests. We watched them kill billions. And we did nothing because you were not in our space. We could not save you. His expression was pained. That is the cost of our choice, Commander. We cannot save everyone. We can only offer sanctuary to those who reach us. What will happen now? Celis asked. The Korthax will not enter our space, Chen said with certainty. We will make sure of that. But you and your people must make a choice. You can stay here under human protection and rebuild your lives. We will give you a world, resources, support. But you can never leave. You will be listed as lost, presumed destroyed in the void reaches. Your people will be safe, but you will be cut off from the galaxy forever. And if we refuse? The three humans looked at each other. Then we will repair your ships and escort you back to the border, Chen said. But we will wipe your computers first. You cannot know we exist and leave. That is not negotiable. Celis understood. It was not truly a choice. The Korthax waited outside. Going back meant certain death. Commander Celis asked to see Earth. The request surprised the humans, but Dr. Okafor agreed. If you are going to decide whether to stay in our space, you should understand what we are, she said. They took a shuttle down to the surface. breaking through the violent cloud layers that made Celis clutch her seat in fear. The gravity pulled at her body uncomfortably. Everything felt heavy and wrong. When they landed at a facility called Cape Canaveral, Celis needed assistance to walk. Her body was not built for this much gravity. Most species cannot survive on Earth's surface for long, Okafor explained as they moved through the facility. The gravity alone causes problems, but we have accommodations for visitors. They gave Celis a support harness that helped her move and then took her outside. The world overwhelmed her senses. The sky was impossibly blue. The sun was bright and yellow, nothing like the red star she had known. Plants grew everywhere in shades of green so vibrant they seemed artificial, and the smells, the sounds, the feeling of wind that could knock her over if she was not careful. "This is a gentle day," Okafor said. "No storms. No extreme weather. Just normal Earth conditions." "It is terrifying," Celis admitted. "Now imagine evolving here," Okafor replied. "Imagine your ancestors climbing down from trees, learning to hunt on plains where everything wanted to eat them. Imagine building civilization while volcanoes erupted and earthquakes destroyed cities and hurricanes leveled coastlines. Earth made us tough because we had to be tough to survive." They visited a city called Miami. Celis stared at the buildings that stretched into the sky, at the millions of humans moving through streets with casual ease, at the technology that seemed to blend seamlessly with nature. Parks full of earth plants, oceans where humans swam for recreation in water that could drown them. "You are not afraid of your own world," Celis observed. "We learned to work with it rather than against it," Okafor said. "Earth taught us that nature is not an enemy, it just is. You adapt or you die." In the evening, Okafor took Celis to a gathering place where humans ate together. The food was strange, but when Celis tried some of the plant-based dishes prepared for her biology, she found them surprisingly good. "I do not understand you," Celis said finally. "You are predators. You evolved to hunt, yet you show kindness to prey species like mine. You build sanctuaries and save refugees. You could conquer the galaxy, but you choose to hide. Nothing about humans makes sense," Okafor smiled. "That is because you are thinking of us as simple predators. Yes, we hunt. Yes, we are capable of great violence. But we are also social creatures who formed communities and families. We learned to cooperate, to care for each other, to build something bigger than ourselves. The same instincts that made us dangerous also made us protective of those weaker than us." She gestured at the humans around them. "Every person here is descended from survivors, from people who faced impossible odds and refused to give up. We remember what it is like to be threatened with extinction. When we see other species facing the same threat, we cannot help but want to save them." "Even when it costs you?" Celis asked. "Especially then," Okafor replied. "The things worth doing are rarely easy." The next cycle, Admiral Chen took Celis on a tour of human military installations. She saw the defense grid around Earth, the weapons platforms in orbit, the fleets of warships that dwarfed anything the Galactic Council could produce. "We maintain the second largest military in the galaxy," Chen explained. "Only the full combined forces of the Council exceed ours, and only barely. Every human colony has defense systems. Every station is armed. We learned the hard way that peace must be defended." He showed her recording of battles. Human ships moving with coordinated precision that seemed almost telepathic. Tactics that prioritized protecting crew lives while maximizing enemy casualties. Weapons that could crack planets but were only ever used on military targets. "We could have destroyed the Council," Chen admitted as they watched the recordings. "During the war, we had opportunities to strike at their core worlds. We could have ended them, but that would have made us monsters. Instead, we broke their military power and forced a stalemate." "Do you ever regret it?" Celis asked. "Stopping when you could have won completely?" "Every day," Chen said quietly. "Every time we get reports of another species enslaved or exterminated by the Council, I wonder if we made the right choice. We saved ourselves and those who reach us, but how many others suffer because we chose isolation? Yet you maintain that choice." "Because the alternative is worse," Chen replied firmly. "If we conquered the Council, we would become responsible for governing thousands of worlds. We would have to impose laws, settle disputes, and force order. We would become exactly what we fought against. An empire that decides what is best for everyone else. Better to be a sanctuary than a prison, even if the sanctuary is small." They returned to the station where Celis found her people in heated debate. The choice the humans had presented divided them sharply. Some wanted to stay and accept protection. Others insisted they should maintain their identity as Velari, even if it meant risking death outside human space. Celis called a council of the ship commanders. They gathered in a conference room the humans provided, all 47 captains who had led the refugee fleet. "We must vote," Celis said. "Stay or leave. Accept human protection or take our chances beyond their borders. If we stay, we cease to exist as a galactic people," one captain argued. "The galaxy will forget the Velari. Our history, our culture, everything we were will be lost. If we leave, we will be dead within cycles," another captain countered. "The Korthax will finish what they started. At least if we stay, our children will live as pets of the humans," the first captain snapped. "Protected but caged." "The humans are not our captors," Celis said firmly. "They offer us shelter, not imprisonment. There are 43 other species living in human space. I have spoken with representatives of several. They are free to govern themselves, maintain their cultures, live as they choose. The only restriction is they cannot leave." "That is still a cage," the dissenting captain insisted. "It is a wall," Celis corrected. "Walls can be protection or prison depending on which side you are on. The humans built their wall to protect themselves from the galaxy. They offer to extend that protection to us." She looked around the room at the tired, frightened faces. "I have walked on Earth. I have seen their cities and their military power. I have spoken with their leaders. The humans are not like the council species. They do not see us as inferior. They see us as survivors deserving of a chance." "You trust them," one captain said. It was not quite a question. "I trust that they could have killed us already if they wished," Celis replied. "I trust that they have kept 43 species safe for 300 cycles. I trust that they are offering us something the rest of the galaxy will not, a future for our children." The debate continued for hours. Finally, Celis called for the vote. Each captain represented thousands of Velari. Their choice would determine the fate of their entire species. All in favor of accepting human protection and staying in their space. Signal now. 41 lights appeared on the display. All opposed? 6 lights, it was decided. The Velari would stay. Celis carried the decision to Admiral Chen and Dr. Okafor. They received the news with satisfaction but not celebration. "We will assign you a world," Chen said.
"It has oceans suitable for your biology and continents with the right mineral composition."
"We have already begun preparing it. You can name it whatever you wish." "New Velara," Celis said immediately. "Then welcome home, Commander," Okafor said with a gentle smile. "Welcome to human space." The Korthax war fleet arrived at the border of human space, 3 cycles after the Velari voted to stay. Commander Celis watched from the observation deck of the human station, as the sensor displays showed 200 Korthax warships taking up positions just outside the boundary. They made no attempt to hide their presence. This was a show of force, a demonstration of power meant to intimidate. "They are hailing us," Captain Ochoa said. She stood beside Celis, relaxed despite the massive fleet arrayed against them. "The War Master demands we surrender the Velari refugees immediately. What will you do?" Celis asked, even though she thought she knew the answer. "Watch," Ochoa said simply. The main display activated, showing the Korthax War Master. He was even larger than Celis remembered, his scales gleaming with battle decorations. When he spoke, his voice carried the absolute confidence of someone who had never known defeat. "Humans," he said, somehow making the word sound like an insult. "We know the Velari refugees are in your space. They are criminals who stole Korthax property and fled justice. Surrender them immediately, and we will not consider your harboring of them an act of war." The human who responded was Admiral Chen. He appeared calm, his hands folded on his desk. "The Velari are under our protection. They have committed no crimes. They are refugees fleeing genocide. We do not surrender refugees." The War Master's face twisted with anger. "You dare to dictate terms to the Korthax Empire? We have 200 warships at your border. We can bring 2,000 more within a cycle. You will surrender the Velari, or we will take them by force." "No," Chen said simply. The War Master seemed genuinely shocked. "You would start a war over these worthless prey creatures? What are they to you? Give them to us and we will leave your space in peace." "They asked for sanctuary," Chen replied. "We granted it. That means something to us. It means we will defend them with everything we have." "You are outnumbered," the War Master growled. "Are we?" Chen asked. He pressed a button. The sensor display suddenly filled with new signatures. Thousands of them, human warships appearing from nowhere, decloaking all around the Korthax fleet. They had been there all along, hidden, waiting. In an instant, the Korthax fleet went from surrounding the border to being surrounded themselves. Celis felt her skin go pale. The sheer number of human ships was overwhelming, and they had appeared without warning, meaning their stealth technology was beyond anything the Korthax possessed. "You seem to have miscalculated," Chen said to the War Master. "Let me make something very clear. You are at the border of human space. You are not welcome here. The Velari are under our protection. If you attack, we will destroy your fleet. If you bring reinforcements, we will destroy those too. If you threaten our borders again, we will not stop at your fleet. We will visit your homeworld and ensure you understand the cost of threatening those we have sworn to protect." "You would not dare," the War Master said, but his voice had lost its certainty. "Test us," Chen invited. "Please, we have been at peace for 300 years. Some of our younger captains would welcome the combat experience." The War Master stared at Chen for a long moment. Celis could see the calculation happening behind his eyes. The Korthax had built their empire on conquest, but they were not stupid. They understood when they faced a superior force. "This is not over," the War Master finally said. "Yes, it is," Chen replied. "Go home, War Master. Tell your empire that human space is forbidden to them. Tell them what you saw here today. Make sure they understand that some prey has teeth." The transmission ended. For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the Korthax fleet began to withdraw. They did not flee, but they left, maintaining formation as they retreated into deeper space. Within a cycle, they were gone. The human fleet remained visible for another cycle, a clear message to anyone watching. Then one by one, they vanished again, fading back into stealth mode. "You let them leave," Celis said to Ochoa. "You could have destroyed them." "We could have," Ochoa agreed, "but killing them would have started a war. Fear is a better weapon than violence. Now the Korthax know we exist, and they know we are more powerful than they are. They will spread that knowledge. It will reinforce the quarantine, make other species even more afraid of this zone." "You use this as an opportunity," Celis realized. "We use every opportunity," Ochoa said. "That is how we have stayed hidden for so long." Over the next several cycles, the Velari settled into their new life. The humans provided transport ships to take them to their new world. New Velera was beautiful, a water-rich planet with conditions remarkably similar to their lost homeworld. The humans had even seeded it with aquatic life from several compatible species to create a functioning ecosystem. Celis stood on the shore of the first ocean her people claimed, feeling the gentle waves lap at her body. The water was perfect. The minerals were right. The temperature was comfortable. It was not home, but it could become home. Dr. Okafor visited regularly, helping the Velari establish their government and infrastructure. She brought gifts from other refugee species, techniques and technologies they had developed in human space. She offered advice but never orders. "You are free to govern yourselves," Okafor explained during one visit. "The only law that applies to all species in human space is simple. No slavery, no genocide, no conquest. Beyond that, you make your own rules." "What if species disagree?" Celis asked. "What if there are conflicts?" "Then we mediate," Okafor said. "We help find solutions, but we do not impose solutions. The whole point of this sanctuary is that every species has the right to determine their own future." "Even humans?" Celis asked. Okafor smiled. "Especially humans. We learned the hard way what happens when others try to determine your future for you." Months passed. The Velari began to rebuild. Children were born on New Velara, the first generation who would know only this world. Schools opened. Businesses formed. Culture that had nearly died began to flourish again. Celis received regular reports from human intelligence services. The Korthax Empire was in turmoil. The War Master, who had retreated from human space, had been disgraced. The Empire's leadership debated whether to attempt another incursion or to declare human space permanently off limits. The debate was apparently quite heated. Other species had noticed the Korthax retreat. Questions were being asked about what really existed in the void reaches. The humans quietly spread more false stories, adding to the legends and mysteries. One day, Celis received a message from Admiral Chen requesting a meeting. She traveled back to the orbital station and found him in his office, looking troubled. "Commander, we have detected something," he said without preamble. 3 cycles ago, a small Velari ship entered our space. It is broadcasting identification codes indicating it is from your original fleet. Celis felt her skin ripple with shock. But all my ships are accounted for. The entire fleet is on New Velara. This ship claims to be carrying refugees who were left behind, Chen explained. They say they hid in the asteroid fields of your home system and have been running ever since. They picked up rumors of Velari survival and followed your trail here. How many? Celis asked. Approximately 50 individuals, Chen said. But Commander, here is the problem. If we allow them in, word will spread that the Velari survived. Other refugees might follow. The Korthax might send spies disguised as refugees. Our secret becomes harder to maintain. Celis understood immediately. You are asking if we should turn them away. I am asking what you think we should do, Chen corrected. This is not just my decision. It affects your people. Celis thought for a long moment. She thought about the choice she had made, bringing her fleet into human space. She thought about the 200,000 Velari living safely on New Velara. She thought about the cost of that safety. Let them in, she said finally. They are my people. I will not abandon them just because it is inconvenient. Chen nodded slowly. Then we will need to be more careful. We will need better screening for future refugees. We will need to ensure no spies slip through. I will help, Celis offered. My people know how to identify other Velari. We can screen refugees, verify their identities. That would be useful, Chen admitted. But it means more work for you. More responsibility. I led my people into this sanctuary, Celis said. I will help maintain it. The refugee ship was brought in, its occupants processed and welcomed. Celis met with them personally, hearing their stories of survival and escape. They were genuine, she confirmed. No spies. Just desperate people seeking safety. But Chen was right. Within a cycle, 2 more ships appeared at the border. Then 5, then a dozen. Word was spreading somehow that the void reaches might not be as deadly as believed, that refuge might be found there. The humans tightened their security. They set up screening stations at the border. They worked with Celis and other refugee species to identify legitimate refugees from potential threats. It was difficult work, but necessary. Celis stood once more on the shore of New Velara's primary ocean, watching the sunset. The star was yellow like Earth's sun, not red like the one she had known. Everything was different now. They lived in hiding, protected by predators who had become unlikely guardians. A small Velari child swam up to her, skin bright with curiosity patterns. Commander Celis, is it true we used to live among the stars?